Good evening and welcome commissioners, applicants, and interested parties to the December 4th, 2025 meeting of the Cohasset Conservation Commission. My name is Chris McIntyre. I'm the chair of the Cohasset Conservation Commission. I'll be running tonight's meeting as we implement the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 260 of the Cohasset Bylaws governing wetlands protection, and Chapter 263 of the Cohasset Bylaws governing stormwater management. The Cohasset Conservation Commission meeting is now open and in session and is being held on Zoom. If you have any questions for the commission, please use the Q&A feature on the Zoom application. Please include your name and address to be recognized. When called, please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Present on behalf of the Cohasset Conservation Commission is the town's conservation agent, Charlotte Pechtel, as well as the Conservation Administrative Clerk, Melinda Wall. I will now take a roll call vote of commissioners. Please respond by repeating your name and saying present. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, present.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, present.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, present.
Sanji Fernando is absent. Will Ashton.
Will Ashton, present.
And Chris McIntyre, present. Tonight we have a quorum of 5 commissioners. First, tonight we have meeting minutes, 2 sets of meeting minutes to approve. First up, we have November 6, 2025. Any comments or edits, and did everyone have a chance to review? Okay. In that case, I will make a motion to approve the minutes from November 6, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. With a motion and a second, I will take a roll call vote. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando, absent. Sorry about that. Will Ashton.
Will Ashton, aye.
And Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 5-0-0. I was there, right? I was not here at the 11:20 meeting. Did anyone have questions, comments, or edits? I was absent for the next set is the November 20th.
Chris, you were there.
Oh, was I? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thought I was.
Yeah, it was everyone but Sanji.
Thank you. And anyone care to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the November 20th minutes.
Thank you. Second that. With a motion and a second, I'll take a roll call vote. Tom Bell.
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton.
Will Ashton, aye.
And Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes, and the November 20th, 2025 minutes are hereby approved. And next, we have 2 continued hearings, one for NOI 25-21 for 3337 Stanton Road, and 294 and 300 South Main Street, and 33 Cedar Lane, as well as NOI 25-13 for 94 Black Horse Lane. First public hearing tonight, we have RDA 25-14. This is a new hearing, so I'll read it in. In accordance with the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw, and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw, the Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote public hearing via Zoom, webinar ID 883-731-0358, passcode 996827 on Thursday, December 4th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. for request for determination of applicability 25-14 to build an open portico in the 100-foot buffer zone to wetlands for Linda Curran at 19-21 James Lane. The public is invited to offer input by attending the meeting or emailing cpechtel@cohassetmass.gov.
Hi, Paulette. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you doing? So, I'm
Good.
Paulette
Is the,
O'Connell.
oh, I'm sorry. Is Linda in the audience? I don't see her, but if
Uh,
they are, they can raise their hand.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'll
I'm
come on.
working on behalf of Linda, so
Thank you.
Okay.
thank you.
Sorry, would you mind just
yeah.
stating again who you are for the record?
Yeah, I'm Paulette O'Connell from Oco Architecture and Design. I'm the architect working with Linda Curran at 1921 James Lane.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks.
You have something to share or
Yeah,
No,
so are you seeing that? So essentially this is the lot in question. Across the street, we have this is from the Mass Mapper. We can see a line that is wetlands, and that is town parcel over there. So within like an estimated 100 square foot line, we're looking at it sort of interfering with the corner of the home. And right in that corner, we're trying to add just a covered portico. So there'll be 2 columns and just sort of a small roof, because that's essentially the main entry to the home, although there is a front door off of James Lane. So you can kind of see this would be what would be viewed from James Lane on the side and what you'd be seeing from the driveway side on the property. So based on, the location of the wetlands and that it will be interfering, with that corner, we're in front of you for an RDA to see if we could build a small portico within that 100-foot setback line.
Okay. That's it. There's already a driveway there and then you're just
Yeah,
building
there's a
some
current
driveway.
driveway between 15 James Lane and 19 James Lane on that side of the property. The back corner of the property, if you're looking here on this GIS, is a large amount of ledge that comes up almost to the 2nd story. So the rear entry is actually at the 2nd story because of the ledge. So the only place you can really occupy a vehicle would be in that bottom left-hand corner, or bottom right-hand corner, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioners, any comments or questions?
Just brief. It looks like this is already disturbed. This is already covered by a ramp. Is that right?
Yes, it is. There's a current ramp there that we will remove, and then we'll just put a small deck in that location.
And it's at the edge of the 100-foot buffer, and it's on the other side of the street from the wetlands, right?
Correct.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have any comments or questions? Tom?
No, I don't.
Steve?
No, seems pretty straightforward, pretty minor.
Okay. Kathy, any questions?
No.
All right. Charlotte, do you have any comments here? Questions?
Nope, not for this one.
Okay. Anyone? I don't have any questions either. I think this is pretty straightforward. It's already something there. You're barely grazing the 100-foot, and it's across the street, as well noted. I don't think this is an issue. So does anyone care to make a motion?
Yeah, sure. I'll make a motion to issue a negative determination. I just need a refresher on which number, Charlotte. I think it's 2, but I'm not sure.
So for buffer zone, it would be a -3, and then for the bylaw, -6.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to issue a -3 and -6 determination for RDA 25-14 at 1921 James Lane.
Okay, I second that. And with the motion in the second, I'll take a roll call vote of commissioners. Tom Bell,
Tom Bell, aye.
Steve Magnell,
Steve Bagnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
and Chris McIntyre. Aye. That vote passes 5-0-0.
Great.
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you, Paulette.
Appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Have a good night.
Great.
Thanks.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care.
So RDA 25-14 is officially closed. Next up, we have, they're presenting these together, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
NOI 25-19 with stormwater permit 25-10 and NOI 25-20 with stormwater permit 25-11 for 40 and 46 Pond Street to build in each lot a single family home driveway stormwater mitigation system and landscaping. I shouldn't have done that. Let me start over since they are different descriptions for me. For NOI 25-19 stormwater permit 25-10 at 40 Pond Street, it's to build a single family home driveway stormwater mitigation system and landscaping within the 100-foot buffer zone of the bordering vegetated wetlands for weather vane builders, and for NOI 25-20 stormwater permit 25-11 46 Pond Street to build a single family home driveway stormwater mitigation system and landscaping within the 100-foot buffer zone of the bordering vegetated wetlands. I guess they are pretty much the same. I thought there was one in the 50. No. Do you have anyone to promote here?
Yes, Taylor, is this everybody? And if so, could you guys introduce yourselves for the record again, please?
Yeah, so it looks like the only one, Charlotte, is just Adam Brodsky
Okay.
from DTM,
Okay.
if you could promote him too. But good evening, everyone. Taylor Corsano from Homestead Consulting Engineers. With me tonight, I have Josh Green from Homestead, as well as Adam Brodsky from DTM Law and the applicant Curtis Webb. It's been a while since we've been back in front of you, so I kind of just want to summarize where we originally started to how we got where we are now. I will share my screen just so we have it. As you'll recall, we originally submitted a common driveway which served both of the homes. We presented that to you all, and we received feedback at the time to, shift some of the work out of the 50 to 100 as best we could. So we took that, we went to the planning board, we presented the common driveway application. It was ultimately denied by the planning board. So once we received that denial, we went back to the drawing board and came up with the concept you see today, which is the home share a 20-foot wide common connection off of Pond Street, which then branches off into two separate 10-foot wide driveways to serve each of the homes. We shifted the orientation. I think there might have been an iteration you saw in between where we had shifted to this smaller home. Previously, 40 Pond Street was located closer to the 50-foot buffer. We were able to shift it back roughly 8 feet away from the 50-foot buffer, closer to 46 Pond Street. 46 Pond Street was modified to have a smaller footprint, which in turn allowed us to push it again out of the 50 to 100-foot buffer closer to the side setback. We were able to shift that house roughly 25 feet from the 50-foot buffer. In addition, we modified where the rain gardens were located to kind of, flow best with this driveway configuration. We shifted rain garden 1 completely out of the 100-foot buffer, and there's only a small portion of rain garden 2 located in the 100-foot buffer. From the first iteration you saw to this iteration, we were actually able to reduce the disturbance that we had within the resource area. And we also, in that time, went out, located trees, prepared a landscape plan. We had Sean Papich, landscape architecture, prepare. We are proposing to take down roughly 25 trees within the 50 to 100-foot buffer. And Sean's landscape plan, I know, Charlotte, you had asked about the tree count. I counted 25, so 1 for 1, located within the buffer area. There's a lot of additional plantings as well outside of that buffer area, but we replicated that. We also, I believe, got some comments about shifting the home locations if we could analyze, different spots on site. We prepared an exhibit just to kind of show you the buildable area. So these areas, as stated previously, were already divided when the applicant is purchased them or looking at them. Cohasset has a 125-foot lot width line that the home has to be located behind. So you'll see on 40 Pond Street, we put the house in pretty much the only buildable spot on site to be out of the 50-foot buffer and still maintain zoning. On 46 Pond Street, we also did our best to keep it as close as we could to 40 Pond Street to preserve a lot of the area located in the back of that parcel. And to summarize, we are highlighted in green here is all the area we are proposing to preserve within the resource area. The crosshatch area is shown as what we're disturbing for earthwork, some of the homes, etc. But we're able to preserve 80% of the resource area on site with the proposed home locations that we have. With that, I would welcome feedback or comments from the board. Since I know it's been a while since we've been in front of you, but we've been working hard in the background.
Thank you. I'm trying to think about the best way to approach. So just to kind of clarify, the last time we spoke, there was some discussion about putting the what is it? Is it 40, 46 that's planned
Yep.
north?
The home out front here.
Yeah. And the reason, obviously, you found that with zoning, you have to be behind the
Correct. The home-
125.
Correct. The home needs to be located behind the 125-foot line.
Okay. There's, it appears like, can you back to the plan with the, if you were to continue to move that, what would be or what's the possibility of continuing to move that out of the 50? Is there a reason why it's kind of still more than halfway within the 100?
So we can definitely try and shift it a little bit more. You do need to maintain 10 feet from BMP, the rain garden. So it needs to be 10 feet separation from the foundation to the home. So we feel we've best maxed out the site to try and keep, the stormwater out of the 100, shift that lot as best that we could to take advantage of all of the upland on that lot.
Mm-hmm. So
So we may be able to shift it
sloping.
a little bit more, but not much, just due to the proximity to the rain garden.
And was it the common driveway just outright like denied, or is it not possible to have any length of shared driveway? It has to be separate all the way to the street, or I see it's partially connected up to,
Yep.
Is there a reason why we couldn't keep that connection further in to keep the driveway more out of the buffer? Perhaps?
We can look at that. I don't know. We can certainly look at that.
Was it planning that said to separate them? Sorry, Chris.
Well, planning denied our common driveway application, so we were forced to separate them because we're not allowed to do common driveway.
Oh, so this, even at the end here, it doesn't count as a common driveway.
We met with the building inspector and he told us that we did not. It was just a shared easement that would be separated through cobblestones. And that, so
Sorry, Chris, I had a line of related questioning about this, if I can go into it about the driveway, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So, did their decision force you to increase the impervious area?
it did because we had to separate the driveways into the two. So we tried to mitigate as best we could with the impervious by going with the 10-foot driveways. And I think the applicant is also open to exploring some where we have some of these driveway turnarounds to, a different material than just asphalt. But we were forced into doing the two
Yeah,
driveway
got it. So,
option.
but you were okay with the common one, obviously, because you submitted it.
Yeah, we were trying to appease everybody, and it was at the time the best option to, mitigate impact. But we were forced into the two driveways.
So you're just accepting their decision, or are you going to appeal it or not?
We are in the process of trying to appeal it. I know our council is working with town council, but I think they're trying to remand it, but I don't know even if it does, if the planning board would then vote it.
And then my last question on that is, did they give you a reason why they wanted them separated?
They did not. And
No.
they did not give us a reason why they didn't like the common driveway.
My thought on the driveway is that if you are appealing it, that we work with planning in some way to convince them that it's better as a common driveway than not. So especially since the applicant wanted it that way. I think it's better for stormwater. I had other questions, but I'll save them for later, unless you want me to go now, Chris.
Chair
Yeah, just-
McIntyre, it's Adam Brodsky. Would you mind if I just weighed in?
Not at all.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice
Good
to
evening.
see you again. I'm sure you've missed me. But in any event, you have a filing in front of you that is separate and distinct from whatever is occurring in front of the planning board. The planning board is, and I'll choose my words carefully, unpredictable. So we'd like to talk about the project that's in front of you. And if circumstances change in the future, we'll certainly discuss that. But I mean, this is the project that we know complies with zoning, which should be considered. Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, Sanji Fernando joined a couple minutes ago. So we have a quorum of 6. I don't know if we need to review anything really quickly just to catch him up, or
Is he able to, I didn't know when he joined, is he able to vote on this or weigh in on this? Since
Sanjeev, I think, let me double check that for you. One moment, sorry.
So just kind of commenting on Mr. Brodsky's yes, we're talking about this plan in front of us. Our preference for the purposes of both stormwater and wetlands would be to minimize impervious and minimize impact to the buffer zone. So our interests, I guess, somewhat, there obviously there's some conflict in the interests here. We're expressing our interest from the standpoint of Cohasset Commission, the Cohasset Conservation Commission, obviously. The other question regarding the driveway, it's right now it's pervious or it's impervious the whole length of it. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Other commissioners, Tom, questions to get started with?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's a little bit of room here to, on 46, to shuffle that rain garden farther towards the top of the plan, and would that help you move the dwelling there? It looks like you're right at the setback line. Is that correct?
For 46 or 40?
Yeah, no, at 46.
46. We are right at the side setbacks.
So that's not going to help much at all, I don't think.
No, and if you shift that closer to the north of the page, then you would have more impact as you closer to the buffer.
Well, you're in the buffer.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that we'd rather see a rain garden in the buffer than a hard dwelling. So if there's some way to design that so that, I'd be in favor of seeing that rain garden being entirely in the 100-foot buffer and the house shifted to the left a bit if that were necessary.
That's definitely something we can look at. It was just our understanding the last time that anything surface-wise within the buffer was frowned upon.
Well, already you've got stuff in the buffer zone, and I'm just looking to see how we might look at that so that the impact is reduced. And we would be moving from impervious surface, you'd reduce the driveway by a little bit, and get the roof out of the or the footprint of the building outside of the 100, and that rain garden would certainly be more consistent with what we're trying to protect in the resource itself. Similarly, I don't see a way to do that for 40, other than, I really don't see any way to do that. So that'd be my only comment.
Okay.
Chair McIntyre, it's Adam Brodsky, and if I can direct this to you or to Mr. Bell. I just want to be clear. I've always been instructed to move all alterations as far away from the actual wetland resource area as possible. So if we're going to be moving the proposed rain garden closer to the 50-foot buffer zone and ultimately the resource area, I'd like to make sure we have a consensus from the commission that that's acceptable, so we don't go back and forth moving things around, please.
I think that's a good idea. We could certainly have a conversation about that. The shape of the rain garden could change too. Right now it's sort of square. It could be elongated like the rain garden for 40, and that might even be better.
Yeah, and just something to note too, as you start changing the shape of that and shifting it, you are going to have to grade the site down, which then, as Adam said, pushes you closer to the resource area. So it would be nice to know that if you would prefer that, but knowing that we're going to be closer to the resource area, if that's something you prefer, then we can certainly modify that to make that work.
Well, as I said, at least in my opinion, it's better to have a rain garden in the buffer than a hard structure. And you're going to pick up a little bit of, you're going to reduce a little bit of driveway area as well to do that. So I would see that as a minor improvement.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think we would have to take into account what the added disturbance may look like, obviously, for the grading that you're referring to. If it's, if you're doubling the disturbance to make those shifts, then obviously disturbance in the buffer zone, that would obviously be a consideration for me. But I would agree on the face of it that with Tom that I would prefer, rain garden in the buffer zone over hard structure.
I like it the way it is. I think we should disturb less closer to the buffer. Also, what is your zoning setback to the front of the southern house?
I believe it is 15, so this red line would be the front setback.
Okay, so you do have room in zoning.
Yeah.
But I agree with what Mr. Brodsky said, that we've always tried to limit the disturbance closer to the buffer lines. So I like the way it is.
Could I see that disturb map again? It seemed like you're already disturbing quite a bit of the.
Again, there's no work being proposed within the 50-foot. No alteration zone is respected. We're talking about work within the 50 to the 100.
Right, but the hatched lines there are all the areas that are going to be disturbed anyway.
Right.
And so obviously, if you're going to disturb it anyway, you could move the rain garden to any part of that disturbed area.
Well, I think it has to do with grading, but I'll defer to Taylor.
Yeah, so if we do that, then it would push this thick black line, which is our limit of work, right up against that buffer. And it may increase this wall a little bit. It just has give and take. So
If you remember that site, it slopes down a hill over there. So I think what you're saying is the north edge of the rain garden, if you push it over, pushes your disturbed area further because you have to grade it down.
Well, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that shape necessarily. You're just looking at this as if you're shifting that shape one direction or another. You can achieve the same thing by making a more elongate rain garden like you proposed for 40 Pond.
yep, but to Will's point, the grading is tough in this area, and for a rain garden, you have to maintain the berm around it. And it's if you're holding that elevation, say you push that 61 back to now where you have a 50, you're now filling or putting a wall higher than you need because you're trying to catch the grade to go down to not going to the 50.
Sure, but you've also got something that is channeling rainwater into the ground far more effectively than having an impervious roof. I know you meet your numbers. I'm well aware of that. But from a practical standpoint, we also know that we end up with, instead of sheet flow on these sites, we end up with a concentrated discharge from some of the structures we're talking about, particularly when they overflow. So I think with a little bit of creativity here on your part, you could change the shape of your rain garden and scoot that 46 Pond Street house 15 feet left and put most of what you're going to do, which will be pervious, in the 100-foot buffer, if not all of it. You're trading off, I don't know what the area of the that we're talking about here at 46 Pond Street for the hard structure, but if simply a trade-off, if you want to do an equal area thing, that's fine. Move that thing so that it's out, and that gives you a bit more room in the 100-foot buffer to stay within that limit of work and within the proposed area of disturbance.
And sorry, Josh, did you want to say something?
Yeah, could you flip to the grading sheet just so that it's clear where this grading is now? So with the current design, you can see where that wall is now. So Tom, if we move the house forward, even if we elongate it, like you're saying, we're going to have more fill closer to the 50. That wall is going to be up against the 50. So you're going to have significant earthwork right on the 50. So I think Will had a good point of trying to keep it away as it is. And yes, you might be trading off a small area of roof that's being discharged to a subsurface system. That's, just on the outside or just inside the 100-foot, I should say, to then putting a rain garden that will have a discharge right on the 50.
I would say
I just
that
want to make sure.
a roof discharge to a subsurface system is superior to what would be there, which would end up being lawn.
I would agree. So I think the value currently is better than what we're going to try to explore related to fill and putting work right on the 50-foot buffer.
Well, do you really need to have the bottom elevation of that rain garden where it's at? I mean,
that volume, that thing is maximized right now as far as or I should say minimized. It's holding just enough volume to meet the requirements.
Sure, but what I'm saying is you're doing an awful lot of fill. If the bottom of it were at a lower elevation, you're going to have less fill on the sides.
We're up against groundwater. So remember the slope, the top half.
What's the depth to groundwater there?
I want to say it's 3.5 to 4 feet.
That, and we're going on the top half, we're digging in. So it's yes, on the down gradient side, we're filling. On the top half, it's actually a little bit of cut. So we're going into the grade.
Okay.
So I just don't want to run through the exercise if, we come back with this, yes, this building outside the 100 or more outside the 100, but then, twice as much disturbance up against the 50. And that's where I truly do believe it's going to go based on the berm around the current rain garden.
Well, yeah, of course, that's where it's going to go. I mean, that's the water's going to go downhill, whether it's underground or on surface. And
we do reserve the right to have, you demonstrate alternatives, whether or not we're saying we'd approve it or not. We want to see that the alternative has been, explored, including just shifting. I don't know if the rain garden would have to be shifted for the home itself to be pushed towards the setback line, which was showed on the other plan. And same with the other home. If you can, as you alluded to, you could, alter the shape or shift it or rotate it to maximize, the amount of house that is not in the 100. That's what our interest is. So
has that rain garden changed shape and dimension since the shared driveway was proposed?
It has.
It has. It's smaller now or larger?
I think it's probably similar. It changed in shape a little bit, and I think it might have gotten a little bit bigger.
So there were 2 rain gardens to start with, weren't there?
Yep, and we still have 2
Those are-
proposed.
And are they both the same size as they were?
They are larger.
So the rain gardens have gotten larger. Driveway's gotten narrower.
There's more pavement though, Tom.
Correct. I was like,
Yeah,
we had a
but
little bit of
some of that pavement now is on the downhill side, is it not, of the rain garden at 40?
Some of it is correct. But then remember, some
So
of it's
maybe
being
the
caught
rain-
by a drain up front.
So is it possible here that the rain gardens are over-designed? For
No, I think the
driveway?
elevations based in the stormwater report are showing that these things they're discharging in larger storms. So to make them smaller, you're gonna be asking for larger discharges to the buffer zone, which is against the interest.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm just wondering again whether this was designed for a different system, and now you've changed the driveway configurations, you haven't revisited the location and size of your rain gardens.
We did review the sizes for the storm water events that we're required to. The discharges are meeting the requirements. Our goal, as Taylor stated, was to minimize disturbance as much as possible near the 50. And that's what we try to do here.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. Someone said that our interest is minimizing disturbance in the 50 to 100, and I don't think that it legally is. Our interest is minimizing or eliminating the impact to the wetlands. It's just that our jurisdiction extends 100 feet from the wetlands. So if all of this water from the roof and driveway are going into subsurface infiltration and rain gardens, I think we've mitigated the effect on the wetlands.
what about would the required size of the rain gardens shift or be reduced if you included pervious driveways?
a little bit, but I think we would still want to make sure that we're accounting for runoff. I don't think there's any downside or upside, I would say, to shrinking them the way they are now.
It'd be a minimal change. Even gravel or seashells, something like that. The fact of how impervious it is doesn't create much of a change as far as the stormwater calculation is concerned.
The curve
from
number,
treatments,
is that what you're talking about?
yes, the CN number, the curve number would not change much.
What are the numbers for pavement pervious
It'd
versus
be
impervious.
98, and at best I like to use like 88 for a seashell driveway.
Yeah.
So it's a small change overall, especially with the soils on site.
And what's lawn?
You got me.
Estimate.
That's 64 with
Okay.
depending on the soil group. I forget exactly what we had on this one.
I have a driveway question. Isn't 10 feet underneath the zoning requirement of a 12-foot driveway as a legal service driveway?
I am not 100% sure. We had reached out to fire to get their opinion to see if it was satisfactory. And we've had initial discussions with them, but haven't.
Yeah.
Heard
Mr.
anything back.
Magnell, we're endeavoring to have the narrowest driveway that will be acceptable to the fire department. We made an assumption here that this would be acceptable, but we need to prove that out. And as Taylor indicated, that has to be approved by the fire department.
Even though the zoning regulation says 12 feet.
That reference in the zoning bylaw, if I recall correctly, is a little bit ambiguous as to what they mean by a legal service driveway.
I see.
I've seen any various widths, but we'll review that also with the building commissioner.
Okay.
He would have called that out if he's already seen the plan. We obviously don't want this to be any wider than it has to be.
Mhm.
Thank you. Anything else, Steve?
That was Tom has certainly made a case for the rest of it, so I'm fine as far as questions are concerned.
What's your thought on the Tom's point there? Where do you fall on that discussion point?
It's a little difficult because I mean we're talking about moving a section of one house, but the other building is mostly in the 100-foot buffer. So it's so it seems to be rather, and we don't seem to have any opportunities there unless they redesign the shape of the house to move things. There's not much room outside of the 100-foot buffer.
I don't even see any room to change the size of 40. They're up against their setbacks every which way you look there, just about. You've got inches to move, whereas 46 could conceivably move 15 feet and pull right out of the 100-foot buffer.
So Chair McIntyre, this is Adam Brodsky. If I can suggest, perhaps I can ask Taylor and Josh to just do a quick study as to what Mr. Bell and Mr. Magnell are advocating, and we'll quantify the additional impacts to the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone. And we'll prove out to you that that's likely not the best alternative. Does that make sense? Rather than going back and forth on the discussion.
That's what I'm interested in, is seeing the alternatives and what the impact would look like. I don't know if my question was answered, but if the 46 were to be shifted further out of the 100 towards the rain garden, is there a setback for the rain garden from the house, or the setback was shown on the other plan for the house, but is that distance required for the rain garden due to sloping, or is there a reason why you're so far away from it and you're into the 100?
So the minimum to a rain garden is 10 feet, and I believe we are at that. So stormwater management requires 10 feet from the EMP to the foundation. So same thing we run into over here as well. Maintaining, that's why you have those funky curves.
Mm-hmm.
So an alternative would, I think, is what we're looking for. At least not necessarily to take that alternative, but to explore it and make your case that this is really the better design. And so I'm open to that. I think that's a good idea. I think before we get close it up for tonight, we need to see the landscape plan, and there may be issues about that we have some concerns about.
And Mr. Chair, I'll just briefly add that Sanji is caught up from the second hearing, but he did miss the first like 8 minutes. So I don't know if the applicant or their team would either like to refresh or if they're comfortable with him weighing in on his thoughts on the site plan based on what he heard, just missing the first 8 minutes. So I'll defer to you guys on that before we go to the landscape plan.
Well, Ms. Spector, just to be efficient, we'd like to hear what Mr. Fernando has to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I sort of feel like the decision on the placement of both rain guards doesn't have to be coupled. Like one could be out, one could be in those buffer zones. I do think I'm aligned with one of the other commissioners' point of view, where ultimately it's protecting the wetlands. So I see that as the first principle here.
I think what we're asking for is an alternative analysis to demonstrate that and to show that that's been fully explored rather than just kind of discussing it. We want to see them at least pull some numbers and demonstrate that a little bit more clearly. If that's the case, then I think we'd all agree. All right. So onto the landscaping plan.
We don't have Sean here with us tonight, but if there's comments or questions on it, we can certainly ask him to come next meeting. But I think we'd like feedback if there is any on this plan as you guys have today.
Yeah, I mean, the basic kind of obviously a lot of trees coming out and the replacement in the 100, I don't believe matched the number coming out. Or typically we would look for 1-to-1 replacement of trees in the 100. So Sean's not here, but I'll just leave that comment with you if you can't speak to it.
Yeah, and I did do a review of the plans beforehand, and I did count the 1-for-1 within the buffer. But I can certainly just ask him to confirm that.
Okay, Charlotte, did you have a comment on that, or is that your estimation as well?
Taylor, I got slightly different numbers, but I'm happy to chat with you offline about that.
Yeah.
Also,
No
there were
problem.
a couple dead trees in the corner of 46 Pond Street that we talked about that may or may not have missed the the count on the tree plan showing the trees to be removed. So that might be something to tweak after the discussion tonight.
So Ms. Bechtel, just so I'm clear, if there's a dead tree that needs to be removed, you're looking for mitigation for a dead tree?
I'll defer to the commission on that, but what I'm saying is, in terms of the red circles on this plan here, there were some behind the home, just close to the limit of work, that were marked as dead per the survey, but they weren't circled within the limit of work. So it was unclear to me if those were remaining or getting taken out. So there were just a couple trees on the full survey from the site plan that didn't, it was unclear if those were coming out in the limit of work in the 100-foot buffer.
So we just need to clarify that for you.
At least that's what I noted, but again, I'll defer to the commission on any tree replacement and planting comments there.
Well, I don't think we'd be requiring replacement of dead trees.
No, I don't think so. My only concern that I wanted to bring up with this was the 1-for-1 replacement is kind of rigid because if the area that you're replanting is smaller than what was there previously, the new trees may choke out they may be too close together to each other to thrive, I guess. It's the best way to put it. So I think it's more important to look at the area that's there and the proper spacing of trees instead of trying to jam the same amount that were there before into a smaller area.
Yeah, and we would talk to Sean about that. They have the buffer zone, their lot goes well beyond that. We consider alternatives for that, but that's it's not our official standard, but that's been rule of thumb of late, at least in my time. That's been what we've looked for. And so if there's alternatives to, add trees further down the line to the 100 buffers, outside the limit of work, that's an acceptable option as well. I would say if the tree expert says that they won't thrive if you don't have enough spacing, obviously we'd consider that.
And I think in general that we should the arborist should be selecting holes in the canopy to target and not be too worried about proximity to the home.
But Tom, holes in the canopy are also useful because you can grow your understory. So
they are.
It's yeah.
They are. But to your point, well, it doesn't make any sense to plant a whole bunch of them under the canopy that are close together because they're not going to make it. So I think there's a balance there that you need to find, and holes in the canopy are a sort of a obviously low-hanging fruit here.
Yeah.
No pun intended. If you want to plant an apple tree.
I don't think they count.
Not native. Any other questions? It's all tough to weigh in on this. It's obviously busy. We see the tree numbers, but I think we just want to have that kind of clarified for next time.
Sean, it does look like Sean has laid out a pretty random distribution, which he knows that's what we like, and so just on the face of it, it looks pretty good. But I think to Will's point, it does look a little crowded, and there could be a spread here that goes outside of what's been disturbed if there are any opportunities there.
Yeah, agreed. And from our site walk, there's a lot of dead wood in the back there, if I recall.
Yeah.
So.
Also, this is just a general point. Most of the treed area in Cohasset is former farmland, so it has a whole bunch of trees that are all the same size with no understory. So Sean's mixture of smaller and larger plants here is an improvement over. We walk back there; it's all tall trees, and there's nothing under them. So the more different sizes and depths of root you have, it's better for groundwater filtration.
Well, that's also what happens in maturing forests. Well,
yeah, it's the underbrush that's the danger if it gets ignited. So there's
it's also where invasives tend to crop up, and there's disturbance and no canopy. Any other questions or comments here? Tom,
no.
Steve, Kathy?
No.
Okay, so I think would be looking for just some effort to just show us that alternatives to move structures and rain gardens, houses out of the 100. If you demonstrate that that's more disturbing to the buffer zone and potentially the resource area, then that I think that's what we're looking for, and solid count of the trees removed or planned to be removed versus replaced, and Sean, it would be great to have Sean next time to talk through this plan.
Yeah.
Also, the potential for using pervious driveway, I think we'd be interested in whether or not it's going to reduce the size of the rain garden. It's still in my mind, anyways, improvement. And I think that's it. Anything else, Charlotte? Did you have?
Just that, Mr. Chair, we have a hand that's been raised in the audience. So I didn't know if you wanted to finish your summary first, but and move on to any comments from the public.
No, did I miss anything summary wise?
In terms of what we've discussed, yeah, definitely. I think you've covered everything in terms of the alternatives, the tree stuff. having Sean at the hearing, considering pervious driveways, switching rain gardens with the impervious surfaces, and then maybe some clarification on any driveway specifications that may come about from other discussions, just so that we're aware, since some of that impervious driveway is now proposed in the 100-foot buffer.
And I just make it kind of a last comment that if that rain garden on the right could be built at a lower elevation, there'd be a lot less fill necessary. There might be more cutting, but less fill, less of a steep embankment there. It might blend into the topography a little better.
We can definitely look at it, but as mentioned, I do think we're maxed out with groundwater, but we'll take a look.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, do you want me, for the person raising their hand, do you want me to promote them to speak, or do you want them to use the Q&A feature? They haven't typed anything. Oh, wait. Oh, we think we do have some. I'm sorry. They didn't provide their address yet. Do you want me to promote them to speak, or do you want them to clarify their address in the chat?
Yeah. Ms. Larson, if you would please just provide your address. You can be promoted. The question is pretty straightforward. Has the size of the 46 pond increased? She's from 12 VA Lane.
Virginia Lane, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you can promote her. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks very much. Yes, my name is Mary Jo Larson, and my address is 12 Virginia Lane. So our home is situated directly above the western side of this watershed, and I think an aspect of this discussion that I hope you will address relates to the heavy storm water that floods down from the western side of this property. So before there was a wall, like a 70-foot wall that was planned to protect the driveway or the driveways of these two properties. So if you don't mind, I hope we can address that question. And the other is 46 Pond Street looks larger to me. And you're assuming that it has to be that large. I actually would appreciate seeing an option of moving that 15 feet to the closer to Pond Street and considering adjusting the size, but that's just my perspective. I wanted to add that there is much more information about why the common driveway was not approved, and I'm sure that it would be of interest to you because it does affect the way the water flows and what happens to the properties on Virginia Lane. So with the construction of, if you don't mind, I would like to know just in general whether or not 46 has been enlarged. I see that rain gardens have been enlarged, and I'll go ahead and make a comment about the flow of water that will be affected by the wall that is proposed, a 70-foot wall. So that wall, it will be designed to really protect the proposed driveways of these two new residences. And they'll be protected from the hillside erosion during heavy rains that come from the western side. As I mentioned before when I spoke, our driveway has a very sharp angle, and the water runs down the driveway, down the lawn, and there's literally a 35-degree angle slope behind our home it's really erosion from rainwater. So my worry is that with that wall, there's going to be a risk to our homes because the rains, the protection of those driveways poses a piping effect risk to our properties, which are west of the ravine on Virginia Lane. What the piping effect is, it's a gradual erosion process that's caused by water penetrating and channeling through the soil behind a retaining wall. Concentrated water flows into underground pipes that erode soil and destabilize the slopes. This effect causes soil to be washed away, potentially leading to landslides on that hillside that is the back of Virginia Lane. So all of these proposals to put up the wall and have the rain water gardens, etc. All of this requires maintenance, and I'm wondering who's going to oversee the maintenance of all of the construction that's required to put these two homes deep into what to us is a ravine. So there are a lot of assumptions that you were making about the viability of two homes in this property, perhaps versus one, or reducing the size of the homes. But I just appreciate you letting me express my concerns and my questions about the current design. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair McIntyre, do you want us to respond briefly?
Please.
Thank you. I'd respectfully suggest that the planning board's reason for denying the common driveway is not relevant to what's in front of you. With respect to stormwater, if I understand where Ms. Larson lives, she lives actually topographically up gradient of our property. So nothing that's going to happen on this property is going to have any adverse impact on her property. As you likely know, I don't like to talk about the sizes of homes, which is a zoning issue and a density issue rather than the wetland issue. But both houses have been revised to be smaller than what was previously proposed. So hopefully that addresses it. And again, I'll defer to the technical team. That's my layman's view of the world.
Yeah, I think Adam did a pretty good job summarizing. I mean, as you guys know, we've sized these appropriately for the site. We do have that robust landscape plan, which has plantings along those walls which will help mitigate any water as it's coming down. We were able to regrade and swale some of the lawn area around those homes. And again, they're out of the 100-foot buffer, but just to kind of summarize where we were to where we are.
So Taylor, did the size of 46 increase?
Did not. It decreased from our initial submittal, which was in July. And then there was one in the interim, but we never presented it. But it has remained the same size as that revision that we made previously. So it has not grown. It has shrunk.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Mr. Chair, we also have another hand raised in the audience. They have not yet typed anything into the Q&A thing. I don't know if it's easier to just promote them and have them confirm their address to list their question, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Good evening. This is Rex Richardson, 60 Pond Street. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things that I heard earlier in the meeting. First of all, the applicant has not purchased the property yet. I just wanted to make that clear. It was said otherwise.
Yes, I did misspeak. They just have it under agreement.
Secondly, I want to thank the commissioners and Charlotte. Thank you for all your hard and diligent work on this. As I'm attending these meetings, I'm learning quite a bit from you, and I appreciate your dedication. What I find sometimes is when you are working very hard to come to a solution, sometimes it's easy to lose sight of the big picture. And I just want to remind everyone involved that this is currently undisturbed land. And as undisturbed land, it should be held to the highest possible benchmark in terms of where things vary and where things don't. So I just wanted to vocalize that and appreciate the time. Won't take up any more of it.
Thank you. Mr. Brodsky, don't you want to comment?
Chair McIntyre, no, thank you.
I'll comment.
Okay.
I share that sentiment, but I also would say that we try to hold we try to treat each of these properties the same if we can. We don't want to set any precedents that would come back to haunt us. And while we recognize that this is an undisturbed land, our bylaws really don't make a distinction here. And that's what we try to live within, is our bylaws and regulations.
And I would add that it certainly may not have been disturbed for some time, but from our site walk, there clearly was, structures there at some point. Quite a bit of urban fill, perhaps, and just what have you. So
yeah, I've been thinking about this a little bit, and if we were to think about disturbance since 1640, basically there is no undisturbed land in Cohasset. It's been clear cut a couple of times probably, and it's been used for agriculture. So it's hard to know when to draw that line of what's already disturbed and what isn't. This particular property that we walked is certainly in a position of recovering from some hard use, it looks like, over the centuries, literally over the centuries, I suspect. So that makes it more difficult for us to really know where to draw that line. Is this really disturbed land, or isn't it? And how long does it have to be undisturbed before we consider it undisturbed? So it's something that I think that all of us have to think about when we're dealing with these.
yeah.
Chair McIntyre, I believe the historic aerials show large areas of clearing through the 70s, and I'm assuming this was used for agricultural purposes. There are existing man-made structures within the 50-foot, presumably related to those agricultural activities.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I'd add before we continue is just that given the constraints here and the resource area and our kind of desire to minimize new impervious surfaces, whether or not the applicant would be willing to consider, perhaps reducing the garage size to a 1 bay instead of a 2 for 40, and those are all considerations that we would like the applicant to have, and anything to reduce the impact in the buffer zones would make this more appealing to me anyways, and so that's
Chair McIntyre, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. We need to create homes here that are going to be viable for modern family use. Again, this is a buffer zone project. We've respected your 50-foot no alteration zone. You have no prohibition or performance standard for work within the 50 to 100, similar to the Wetlands Protection Act. We have to endeavor to protect the interests associated with the adjacent bordering vegetated wetland. I can assure you, and there's been no suggestion, nothing we're going to be doing within the 50 to 100 foot is going to have any adverse effect on the bordering vegetated wetland, which is this buffer zone is going to protect. So discussions of 1 versus 2 car garages, I don't think is
that's just an idea to reduce the footprint. That's all, and that's what I'm asking for, is the consideration of reducing the footprint in the buffer zone. And
my point being is that change is going to have no impact whatsoever on the bordering vegetated wetland, which is the purpose of this process.
Well, my request stands. If they could consider that, I would certainly be welcome to hearing them when they come back. So I don't have anything else. Any other commissioners have any last comments or questions before we continue? No, then Charlotte, when are we continuing to 2 weeks out? Or would you,
So
is that
our
enough
last
time for-
meeting of the year is December 18th. That's in 2 weeks. We actually do have our schedule. I was actually going to post that today, but forgot about it. So if December 18th does not work, there will be a meeting on January 8th and January 22nd of 2026.
Charlotte, if you can just remind me, what is the filing date for revised materials for the 18th hearing? Or the
Week in
11th?
advance, so that would be the Thursday before on the 11th. Yeah.
And for that meeting, it's just the alternatives suggested here today.
So alternatives and a clarification on the the tree count, how many are being removed, replaced, and then, again, the consideration of reconfiguring rain gardens, the houses, the structures to get, it further out of the 100-foot buffer. And then I think, Tom, you wanted clarification on the elevation of the rain gardens, separation of groundwater, if they can be dug out deeper. And then I think that's, and then having obviously Sean present in more detail on the landscaping plan, and maybe trying to spread out the plantings a little bit more on that as well.
Sean, just to confirm that last point, like obviously Sean's always welcome to present. I think we were just looking at the counts, right? Like just to match up the counts, there was some discrepancy.
Yes, but I think some commissioners noted that some plantings appeared to be a little crowded. So I don't know. It sounds like we wanted them spaced out a little bit more, but if I misspoke, then someone correct me.
I think we were split on that. Like,
Okay.
Maybe we could just see a spread out plan, but
okay,
we went back and forth on canopy for a while, right?
Yeah. I think everyone has slightly different thoughts there.
Yeah, we need to make sure that we've got Sean Papich available for the next hearing so he can answer questions more directly.
Sure. Okay. So Taylor, would the 18th work for you for now? Or would you feel safer with choosing one of the January meetings?
Probably one of the January meetings, just with the holidays coming up and people time off. And sorry, was that the 8th you said?
Yep. So it'd be January 8th and January 22nd.
Okay. I think January 8th should work.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Then we'll continue to January 8th.
Thank you, Chair McIntyre. My condolences to Mr. Bell and his family.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you, guys.
evening.
Have a good night.
Okay. Next up, certificates of compliance. We have anyone that just have the two? Do we have anyone in the audience that we want to shift these around, or is it?
No, so actually, last minute, these two COCs, NOI 2318, Stormwater Permit 2313 for 3135 Elm, we continued that to December 18th. They are working on a mitigation plan, but there may be some new developments with that where they may choose to submit an amended NOI in the future, but they're going to look at that more together and come back on the 18th. And then 6 Deep Run for Stormwater Permit 2320, that COC discussion was also continued to December 18th. They just need some more time to address some questions that were brought up during the final inspection.
Okay. Great. So then any agent updates or anything else?
Sure. Yeah. So 20 Sanctuary Pond Road, this was just a tree violation in terms of they took out one tree in the 100-foot buffer. They have since replaced that and planted it. Tree looks good. And so I'm just going to send them a follow-up letter. This one was not a show cause hearing because it was just a first time violation. The owners didn't know. And then Route 3A, as you can see, the utility work continues. We have had to address some erosion and cleanup issues on the site, but they have been working through those. They put in some, silt sacks. They need to sweep the road again. There were, some more tree work. There was more tree work for the utilities further down in Situate, but that's still kind of just chugging along. It's going to be until sometime next year where they're going to do more of the heavy construction in Cohasset. But they have since submitted a dewatering plan. The dewatering plan includes temporary control measures for near Bound Brook when they're putting in a new splash pad, but then it also includes a lot of the details about relocating that intermittent stream, which is between Shaw's and goes north on 3A and stops somewhere, they have to completely relocate that intermittent stream, so they'd have to dewater it. So that's like a pretty long document that I'm reading through. I know DEP had some comments on that, so I'm checking in to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And last but not least, 55 South Main Street. This one I think was somewhat recently, has a new owner. They've been going through the process to clean up the site with DEP. So they just notified us about that this week. They were just checking in on making sure they had the right version of the site plans. This was from 2022, so this was from a few years ago. And so that's kind of just in the slow process of getting cleaned up. In terms of other,
Charlotte, can you clarify what you mean by clean up the site? Clean up the soil, or just
so
like?
This was I think this was a gas station, right? So they'd already cleaned out, they'd already crushed the tanks and everything. I think they may have to do some soil cleanup as part of finishing that process. So, but yeah, they are working with DEP on that, and it has a I forget the number, but it has a site number when you have like 21 e-sites like this.
And is it in a buffer zone, or I didn't?
No, 55 South Main Street's just in the center of town, so it was just a stormwater permit.
Okay.
But it is close to, it is somewhat close to, I think, isn't there a culvert in that area? It's like past Red Line. Isn't there a culvert in that area, or is it near Pleasant? Is that closer to Pleasant Street?
I think, yeah, the old river runs right through downtown, right?
Yeah. But yeah, they just notified me, so we hadn't heard anything about that property in a while. So I think it was going under, management or new owners. In terms of grant updates, we just finished the tree project. So planted 26 trees in Cohasset. DCR is going to come out to inspect them. And so yeah, I think overall our guys did a really good job. They learned how to plant trees. We had some, we had an educational event with all 3 schools. The kids loved seeing an arborist come back. Same guy who trained our DPW team. So overall, very nice project, even though it was, we learned a lot. That this project was very small and simple to start, but there were a lot of different things to work out. And then the other grant, the Gulf River project, Woods Hole Group is going to start going out. They're going to be deploying some tide gauges early next week and some sondes. They asked for data on where the discharge points are in the Gulf, so I'm going to get that information to them, at least the stuff that I have from our GIS. And then they do want to go out to a site visit to look at the marsh with some of our team. If you guys are interested, I don't want to create too many cooks in the kitchen, but if one person maybe wants to come out, or if not, just let me know. We're going to target that week of the 15th through the 19th of December. They can't do a 100% vegetative survey, obviously, but they're definitely going to try and get as much data as possible since we're starting this project a little later than expected. And then, as I mentioned, the 2026 meeting schedule has been finalized. Mindy did a good job on that. There's one meeting in February. We had to push it to right up against the first meeting in March. So there's 2 back-to-back meetings on February 26th and that whatever that next March meeting is, just because, the middle of winter break, right? I assume a good portion of you guys may or may not be around that week. Other than that, the schedule is pretty normal and consistent with last year. And then the one thing that Mindy and I will follow up with you guys on is July is kind of our most hectic month. It's a big vacation time. So we're going to start stalking you guys in May and just trying to make sure that we understand if we have a quorum for those meetings. And if we don't, we're going to cancel them really early so that we're not, telling a bunch of applicants that, we don't have a quorum. And then this is something that I talked about with a few people already. So just so that you guys are aware, internally, when I get a submission per our own regulations, I do notify all other applicable boards. So I'm notifying, our staff in-house who work with those boards. They provide comments to me and vice versa. We want to kick that up a little bit. Per the Wetlands Protection Act and our regulations, the applicants for these projects have to apply to all other applicable boards, with the exception of a building permit. So if we're looking at projects super early that have not yet applied to planning, zoning, board of health, sewer, et cetera, we can definitely exert some authority here to say, no, you have not completed the administrative submission process under the Wetlands Protection Act and our regs and bylaws. So in order to make sure that we're respecting our own time, to not look at these projects so early before other boards have gotten a chance to look at them. As of 2026, Mindy and I are going to come up with maybe a really nice, easy, simple checklist to show you guys if they haven't submitted to DEP or to planning board or to whatever, then we're going to say that we're not going to let you open the hearing, or we're going to open it and automatically continue it because you haven't completed the process. So just to try and create a little bit more control and of our agendas and not waste your time. So that's changing January 1st. And that was kind of it for me. No 48-hour updates on my end.
Just for, so as long as they've opened the
Yes.
hearing, or they wouldn't have had to have decisions yet from
Correct.
everyone else before they come to.
Yeah, you have to at least apply. So you don't have to wait for them to obviously get approval. That would be nice, but I'm sure there's a chicken and egg argument that all the other boards would also
Yeah.
argue. So, but yeah, they have to at least apply. So they have to be in the works with all the other applicable boards. So we can't, keep doing these projects where someone's like, oh, we just want conservation's input. And it's like, okay, well, no, that's wasting our time. Submit to all the boards at once. Helps with version control with the site plans too.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
Hopefully that
Makes
can
sense.
keep some pesky people away.
But I believe that happened in front of sewer,
Mm-hmm.
not their last meeting, but the one before perhaps, where the applicants for Jerusalem Road Estates partners came in with a pretty no paperwork or anything. They just wanted to stand up and ask whether they could get a building permit, a sewer permit, or whether it's feasible. And as I understand it, they got sent down the road.
Yep. Sewer, I think, handled that pretty well.
Yeah, they did.
I was on that hearing. I was asked to be. I was asked to be.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and also that's another thing too, like I would never allow this to happen, you guys, but you guys should not be discussing projects in any general sense unless it's through a permit application. Because we've had applicants in the past ask to be like, oh, can I go before Concom at the end of the meeting and talk about a potential project? It's like, nope. You're gonna talk through a submission and you're gonna pay us. So yeah, no. No, I shut that down. I actually told the sewer people, I was like, hey, you might want to think about that. Don't let applicants do that. They have to pay for an application for boards to provide input. Otherwise, it's a waste of your time. And it also can potentially put you guys in a tricky legal situation with, discussing things before they happen. It's a recorded meeting. They're public. So yeah. And that's it for, at least what I have for the end of the year. Actually, the only other update is that Mindy and I, as I mentioned you guys, we have a long list of projects that we've been doing. We drafted, I know I'm slow on this, Mindy, I'm sorry. We drafted a letter to send to all applicants, or all people who own a dock. We're going to tell them that they can't have their float on the marsh. They've never been allowed to, but we're putting our foot down. We've drafted an abutter template letter. We've noticed a lot of concerns with all these engineering templates that do not correctly show the date, time, location of the meeting. So we've had to have people send these abutters letters out multiple times in order to get the information correct. So we created our own template and we're going to post that online, just finish the 2026 schedule. And then we're going to ramp up some of the other projects that we started and haven't finished. So we're working through all that now that I have someone who can, who loves doing this stuff. So, yeah.
Great. Good. Thank you. Commissioners, any 48-hour issues? Anyone got anything? Observations, questions, side notes, party invitations? No. Okay.
I'd say that a number of us, some of us, made it to the Straits Pond Watershed Association history presentation or display at the church 2 weeks ago, and we were very happy to see a couple hundred of our neighbors and friends from both sides of the pond in a really nice setting there at the Greek church. So if you missed it, there's some highlights on our website, but it was really a great event. We're going to have more of these things.
Nice.
It was great.
We're going to do some more of them.
When
It
was
was
that,
great.
Tom? I'm sorry I missed it.
It was, don't you get the Straits Pond news?
I do, but I must have missed it.
You must have missed it. You're not reading your emails, huh?
I'm sorry. Too many emails.
Yeah, it was Saturday before last.
Oh, okay. I'm usually gone on weekends, so
I
yeah.
don't- Yeah, but I know Kathy made it.
I
And
did.
Steve made
Yay.
it, and yeah.
It was very interesting and nicely presented, and um, it was nice to meet other people in the area. Um, each, the people that were at their stations talking about their whatever their topic was. Everything was really interesting. It's really great.
We had a lot of people that showed up and started talking to their neighbors, and some of them stayed hours, stayed the whole time, which was it was really a very nice community event just for that reason alone.
Yeah.
Neighbors were talking to each other.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh,
That's
congrats
awesome.
on a successful get together. I'll have to check out the highlights.
And Tom, your article in the Straits Pond watershed newsletter was excellent.
Thank you.
Your recent one, yes.
It was fairly brief.
It's okay. You made the points. It's great.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice. I'm assuming that's on the website too.
What's that?
I'm assuming you can pull that up on the website as well.
That's right on the front page. Just scroll down. You can subscribe.
Yay.
It's the Straits Pond News. It's a intermittently posted newsletter about events around Straits Pond, mostly about what kind of animals we're seeing and how healthy the pond has become, and sometimes some allusions to the past when it wasn't so nice. So
it's come a long way.
Ducks. Some good ducks in there this time of year.
Oh yeah, we got lots of ducks. We got the eagle starting to pick them off again. They're a major source of food for them. Yeah.
I attended a DMF had like a hearing for commercial striped bass permitting alterations. They got a plan that they're rolling out
Really?
next couple of years. Yeah, to reduce the number of commercial permits. And it's kind of a multi-phased plan. This first hearing was just to about transferability of permits and reduction of like how they're not going to increase the number of commercial permits that they give out, just because the striped bass stock is kind of down because of young fish recruitment. But it was pretty interesting. A lot of the Q&A part was pretty good with all the commercial fishermen, from all over the state kind of chiming in. But
yeah, they're reducing commercial licenses only and not the
right now, yeah. And they're gonna, the ultimate plan is to have like a tagging system just because to try to keep better track of commercial catches and reduce the number of permits and overall.
I think the biggest impact are recreational fishermen.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of that sort of unseen impact is that a lot of people, they know better, but they have to take a picture of that fish in their lap, and that is fatal.
Yeah,
absolutely fatal. The 24-hour survival time it's appalling. It's something like 40% of them die that've been out of the water and held in somebody's lap.
It's a really big problem with sharks. People don't realize when they do that and take those glory photos that the sharks have been so stressed out, they pretty much die, like especially hammerheads.
Yeah. Vanity. We can all blame it on having a cell phone and taking that picture. They're killing fish just so they can have another glory shot with their striped bass, and it's devastating because the bigger the fish, the longer it's out of water because they got to take a lot of pictures of the big fish.
Yeah,
those are the ones that really count. Those are the breeders, and it's really unfortunate that this is happening.
Yes.
Not to mention the ghost gear. So like I don't know how much of a problem that is in freshwater environments, but at least in the marine environments, like a lot of people toss their materials, their bait, their lines, and then commercial gear is obviously a massive problem. That's why you have so many marine mammals die. But yeah, like the ghost gear is a real problem in fishing world. I don't know how much of that is recreational versus commercial on the freshwater side, but it's really big on the marine side with
Okay.
commercial.
Well, we all know there's an awful lot of ghost lobster traps out there.
Yes. I
Hey,
haven't heard back from the woman who takes them out since people shut her down.
Yeah, Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a conversation with her this summer, and we were both sort of bemoaning the fact that these things couldn't be removed from Little Harbor because they're just contributing to the infill there, the sedimentation in Little Harbor. They're sediment traps essentially, and they're dangerous. Once they rust, the spines that poke out of the sand from that corroded wire is really dangerous. It'll go right through a rubber boot easily.
Yeah. It's a tough issue because there's so many laws against taking out lobster traps that aren't yours. But then it's hard because the harbor master and the natural resource officer said absolutely not.
Yeah, that's really short-sighted.
I know. I feel bad.
And even when they're fresh in there, they're catching lobsters that die inside their traps. So removing them is the best time to remove them is as soon as they've been swept in. But once they're in there, they end up getting embedded in the sand and they become hazardous to people. Ropes dangling there. Anybody swimming could get entangled.
Yeah. I know if anyone's removing that in Little Harbor, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I don't want to be on a side that I may or may not agree with,
Yeah.
So go incognito. Tom, wear a mask.
Just tell me when Officer Kimball's on the prowl out there and I'll stay out of there.
I have no idea when he's on the prowl out there. I have no idea.
Good. Well, Cheryl, keep me posted on the site visit for the grant program. I'd be interested in possibly attending if I can. You said the 15th?
They want to go the week of the 15th. Yeah, I told them any day but the 18th would work for me. They're going to obviously pick probably the day with the best weather. But yeah, I'll text you.
Cool.
I have to send a letter tomorrow to all the people in the Gulf River. So I'm just doing that as a courtesy to make sure I don't get called out on Facebook or something for doing something weird or looking like I'm doing something weird. But yeah.
Attaching buoys to lobster pots and floating them up. Yep.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Good. All right.
Last update while we're on the meeting. Classic football beat Amesbury state champs. Go Skips.
All right.
All right.
What was the final score?
22-14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good team. Second. Sanji, not sure if you're talking to us, but
No, sorry.
All right.
No, I thought Gus Green had a big season. So
yeah.
All right. Great. Well, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All right. See you on the 18th.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
See.
Bye, guys. Have a good night. See ya.
Charlotte, Melinda.